The countdown to the regular season is on. The Giants left the desert and returned home last night for the Bay Bridge Series, and they took Game 1 from their Bay Area rivals 3-1. Tonight, from the corner of 3rd and King, it's Game 2 of the series. Giants-A's coming up next. Once again, at the corner of 3rd and King Streets, 24 Willie Mays Plaza, the Giants of the Athletics, a springtime exhibition, but a big crowd gathering nonetheless. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow and Dave Fleming, who will be along in the middle of the ball game. And the Giants tonight with, again, their opening day starting lineup in there with Jake Peavy getting the call. He'll be the home opening day starter with the Giants against the Dodgers come Thursday, so it's his final tune-up. And Mike, the Giants last night played a sort of a Giants regular season kind of a game, pitching, defense, and just enough offense.
Such a different intensity level last night than what we saw the previous week when the game's being played down in Arizona. It did a lot for this lineup to get in front of the hometown crowd. It did a lot to get them in this little Bay Area rivalry with the A's, which means a little bit more than a normal game. And it also got them intensified towards Monday, which is the bell opener against Milwaukee. And we talk about this lineup that has really not played together that much this spring. This will be the 35th game, or the 34th game rather, of the spring, and this will only be the 4th time that they've all played together in the same lineup. So look for them to try and find some rhythm. It's beginning now to become a very important thing as they get closer to the bell opener.
So Jake Peavy, his final tune-up. He'll be up against Kendall Graveman, the young and very talented right-hander of the Oakland Athletics. Last night, we mentioned the Giants with a 3-1 win. And in his final tune-up before his first game Wednesday, Jeff Samardzija was outstanding. He retired the last 15 batters consecutively. More about Jeff Samardzija's night with Amy G when we come back.
Is back in the Bay as we get set for game 2 of a 3-game Bay Bridge exhibition series. Welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. I am Amy Gutierrez, and opening day is around the corner. It's Monday, so Giant skipper Bruce Bochy, he's using these last few games to check out his rotation and make sure they're stretched out and ready to go. If there were any questions still remaining about Jeff Samardzija, last night he shut the door on that topic. He was phenomenal. He's our Toyota by the numbers this evening as we take a look back at his performance. Toyota's #1 for everyone sales event is here with incredible savings on every Toyota. Samardzija, yep, incredible. Gave up a leadoff triple, then settled in to retire the next 15 athletics over 5 innings. He had command of all of his pitches and a lot of late life on his pitches, which is certainly a sign of very good things to come. Tonight, Jake Peavy gets a turn. He's going to take the hill for your San Francisco Giants. And Bruce Bochy's running out the exact same lineup fans saw last night. It's all coming your way. We're going to have John Miller and Mike Krukow with the call, and you'll see them right after this break.
Night, but a beautiful, brilliant night here at the ballpark for the Giants and the Athletics.
All right, time now for our key ingredients of the game, brought to you by Round Table Pizza. The new sausage and sweet pepper supreme pizza is available at participating locations, including online and mobile ordering. Round Table, the last honest pizza. #1, get the feel of AT&T. Hey, the lights are higher here. The air is different. The sound is different. Nothing in spring training even comes close to this. You got to find the comfort zone tonight. That'll be important. #2, quality at bats. Grind it down. See pitches. Know your strike zone. Let that be a big thing in this game tonight. And above all else, this is the second to the last game of spring training. And right now, staying healthy is real important. Those are our Round Table key ingredients.
Jake Peavy, his final tune-up. He'll be the opening day starter for the home opener on Thursday afternoon against LA. Buster Posey's in there as well. We'll have the lineups and then the first pitch. Giants A's coming up. Right-hander. His final tune-up along with his catcher, Buster Posey. This could be Buster's final tune-up for that matter. Giants have the day game in Oakland tomorrow. And although they've played what is likely their opening day batting order both last night and again tonight, that may not be the case tomorrow. But for tonight, Jake Peavy with his last tune-up before facing LA come Thursday afternoon. Bruce Bochy putting in the lineup. First off, let's take a look at Bob Melvin's Oakland Athletics lineup. It'll be Coco Crisp, the veteran, in center field. Then Mark Canha, the former Cal star, left field. Josh Reddick, powerful left-handed hitter, right field. Danny Valencia hits cleanup at third base. Chris Coughlin is at second base. Billy Butler, former Kansas City Royal back in the 2014 World Series. The Giants faced him. He's the DH. Yonder Alonso, the former Padre, first base. Josh Phegley catching, hitting eighth. And Marcus Semien, another former Cal star, is at shortstop, batting ninth. And there's Bob Melvin talking to Josh Phegley. And Bob Melvin himself, a former catcher and a former Giant catcher. So the Athletics, who will be opening at home on Monday, a night game against the Chicago White Sox. As the Giants get ready to head to Milwaukee, they're going to fly to Milwaukee Sunday morning and open at Miller Park. And thank goodness for retractable roof ballparks, because the game time temperature on Monday afternoon in Milwaukee is going to be about 38 degrees and with very high winds. But we'll be indoors. It should be just about ideal.
Ideal indeed. And the beautiful part about having a dome stadium is that you can control the environment. So indoors, it should be right around 70 degrees, I would imagine. A very raucous and rowdy Milwaukee Brewers fan base. Really one of the fun arenas in all of baseball to play in. But the Giants don't have to worry about rain delays, and they don't have to worry about a rain delay on a getaway day, which would be Wednesday, because Giants play that day game in Milwaukee, then fly home and open up their home opener on a day game on Thursday. So we are definitely going to appreciate the Dome Stadium of Miller Park. Pitcher for tonight for the Giants will be Jake Peavy. Peavy in his 14th year at the big league level. And you see what he did in 6 starts, 1-0 with a 7.43 ERA. And really, the 38 hits in 23 innings, most of it was early on. And Dave Righetti very excited about where he is right now. He said he's throwing as good as he was last year in the second half, which means when he's throwing good, you're going to see a fastball that's between 88 and 91 miles per hour. He will cut it. He will sink it. He's got a natural low 3/4 release, which gives him a lot of natural movement anyway. And when he's right, he'll be able to command both sides of the plate with that fastball. His slider, the last 2 starts, has really, really tightened up. And that's the pitch I think that Dave Righetti feels is comparable to the way he was throwing it the second half of last season when he found that slider. 2 starts ago in 4 1/3 innings, he had 8 strikeouts. He also has a changeup, and he'll quick pitch it now. He's starting to vary some of the rhythms out of his windup. And he'll try and get 4 or 5 innings tonight. Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Peavy tonight, starting in the Giants outfield from left to right. It'll be Pagan, Span, and Pence, the best arm in right field with Pence. Crawford and Duffy on the left side of the infield, Panic and Bell on the right side. And Buster Posey, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
So here is the 34-year-old right-hander who broke into the big leagues in 2002 with his first pitch of the night. And Coco Crisp takes a called strike right around the knees on the inside. And we are underway. And he changed up, a check swing. No, says the third base umpire. Blackney, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Mike Malinsky, by the way, is the home plate umpire tonight, with Bill Miller at first, Anthony Johnson at second, Ryan Blackney at third, although the base umpires will rotate every 2 innings. And the count goes to 2-1 to the veteran Coco Crisp. Crisp has had some injury problems, and last year only played 44 games. Pence going back in right field, and that is foul. They never.
As opposed to the last night, Jeff Samardzija, boy, he was fantastic, and he had the best finish on all of his pitches that we've seen him have all spring, and it had everything to do with pitching here in the humidity.
Shallow left field. It's Duffy and Crawford. Crawford for the catch. There was seemingly a little confusion as to who was going to actually catch that ball at the last.
Well, that kind of reminds you of the pop-ups that we used to have at Candlestick, where you'd have 8 guys calling for it, and you just kind of never stop calling for it and hope somebody would eventually come down with it. But Duffy, Crawford going back, they're both calling for it right now. But the shortstop is kind of like the center fielder. I mean, he will take precedent. He has jurisdiction, especially on that left side.
So Reddick retired, 2 down. Danny Valencia hitting cleanup. Runner at first, Coco Crisp, 2 down. And he got the called strike on that one.
Doesn't look like Danny Valencia is too enthusiastic with that call for Mike Malinsky, the plate umpire.
Valencia, who ended up being a great pickup for the Athletics last summer, cut loose by the Toronto Blue Jays. And he chased Buster with the pickoff throw. Crisp safely back at first. I guess the Blue Jays, the fact that they could cut Valencia loose just said it all about what a great lineup they had. He was hitting .296 with an .837 OPS when the Blue Jays cut him loose. Yeah, can't use him. That's pretty good. Not quite good enough for our lineup.
He can hit.
Toward the middle. Crawford gets to it. Covering at second. Joe Panic gets the put out on Crisp. Well done. Now the Giants are coming up. Span, Panic, and Buster Posey when we come back. At AT Park. Let's take a look at the Giants batting order now. Denard Span, center field. Joe Panic at second base. Buster Posey catching, hitting third. Hunter Pence in right. Brandon Belt at first. Matt Duffy at third, hitting sixth. Brandon Crawford, the shortstop. Jake Peavy, the pitcher, is hitting eighth, something Bruce Bochy is giving a lot of thought to, with Pagan hitting ninth, because he thinks Pagan not having to worry about hitting in front of the pitcher will be sort of a second leadoff man and have a chance to do more running with Span coming up behind him rather than the pitcher. Although he has not said that that's exactly the way he's going to go with it once the regular season starts. He's been playing around with it here these last few games of the spring. That is a foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike to Span.
Kendall Graveman, the pitcher tonight for the A's, and this is what he has done in 5 games this spring. 1-1 with a 4.98 ERA. He's 25-year-old right-hander, 6'2", 202-pounder. A little over a year's big league service. They didn't like the walk total, but most of those were early in the spring. He's got great stuff. He's got 2 types of fastball, curveball, changeup, slider. Got a really nice high release out of Mississippi State. And he came over to the A's in that trade with the Toronto Blue Jays, where Josh Donaldson became a Blue Jay. And Graveman was one of 4 guys that came over to Oakland.
That's a base hit. Denard Span hooks one through to get aboard for the Giants.
Let's take a look at the A's defensively. Starting in their outfield from left to right, it'll be Canna, Crisp, and Reddick. Reddick with the best arm in right field. Simeon and Valencia on the left side. Coughlin and Alonso on the right side. Josh Fegley, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Now Joe Panik. First baseman Alonso on the bag with Span at first, and a called strike to Joe Panik. Panik has a look at third base coach Roberto Kelly, and Billy Hayes coaching over at first for the Giants. The third baseman Valencia plays shallow. There goes Span, and a foul. I think he hit that one down off his foot or his ankle. 0-2 the count.
Yeah, we showed the A's defense, and that really is one of the question marks that's going to surround this A's team. And they did not have a good spring training with the glove. They made 44 errors collectively as a group. The Giants made 22. And if the A's are going to do well in the American League West this year, they're going to have to catch the ball. And that is one big concern of Bob Melvin's. They have to play better defense.
2 strikes to count to Panik. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You're mentioning how Graveman came to the Athletics in the Josh Donaldson trade. Brett Lawrie, who was always considered a top prospect when the Blue Jays had got him, but it never happened for him there, and it didn't really happen for him last year with Oakland. He's gone now. Another guy they got in that trade is a young prospect, and a lot of people think very highly of him, Franklin Barreto. And Barreto, we saw him play some shortstop during the spring down in Arizona. And remember that name. I think you'll be hearing a lot of him in the big leagues. And Span dives back to first.
That's a good move to first.
2-2 to Joe Panik. Hold opened up on that right side. The middle infielders, Simeon at short, Coughlin at second, pulled in, double play depth, and both shaded toward the middle, closer to the bag. And off the outside. Full count. Buster Posey on deck. So I'm figuring 3-2 that Span's going to run.
Well, it's a good chance there's going to be a strike here. I mean, you don't want to walk Panik to set it up for Posey with nobody out, 2 men on. So this should be a pretty good pitch to hit.
And he's not running, and it's ball 4. So he had Panik in an 0-2 hole and ends up losing him. And the Giants are set up nicely for Buster Posey.
And that is really one of the strengths of the top of the Giants lineup with Denard Span and Joe Panik, both similar type hitters in that they can take an 0-2 count and work a walk. They know the strike zone very well. They're very disciplined to it. I mean, that's just a great at bat. And now it sets it up for the 3, 4, 5 guys.
Buster Posey, you see his spring training numbers. Buster played sporadically most of the spring. He'd play one day and not play the next. As Bruce Bochy used the phrase a lot during the spring, he was one of the guys they slow played. But Buster's been playing a lot this final week. Hit a home run Wednesday night in Sacramento. That's a called strike, and a good one right on the outside at the knees. Buster had 3 singles here last night, including an RBI. Called strike 2. 93
nice.
miles an hour.
Beautiful location on both those fastballs, 1-0, 1-1. And that 1-1 count, Buster Posey was not looking fastball. And he will guess even with 2 strikes.
That is a fair ball. Headed down the left field line. Span around third. He'll score easily. The ball dug out by Canna. Here comes Panik, and he will score without a throw on a double by Buster Posey. And the Giants have a 2-0 lead.
Well, Graveman went outside with fastballs on the outside corner to get 2 strikes and get to the 1-2 count. And here they try to go inside on Posey. And that is not a mislocation. That's right where they want it. And watch the elbows bent right through the swing, and he just beats a good pitch. Rakes it right down the line. They had played him off the line, gave him a little bit of daylight there, and shoots it right past Valencia, who had no chance at all.
Buster Posey knocks in the first 2 runs of the night. Still nobody out. Here's Hunter Pence. 0-1. Pence had 1 hit last night, but it was one of the most impressive hits of the game. He just hit a line drive that ended up halfway up the wall in left field. Nearly a home run. 1-1 the count. Brandon Belt on deck. Hunter Pence, who had a late start to his springtime efforts. Graveman, and he got Pence at first with Posey going to third. Pence is a great big guy and a power hitter, but he beats out over 20 infield grounders every year, at least in his full seasons as a Giant.
Well, I think rather remarkable when you consider how big the backswing is. I mean, he's trying to kill the ball every swing, and he manages to get out of that box and get going very quickly for a big man. He's 6'4", about 235.
Brandon Belt had gone into the overshift. 3 infielders to the right of second, and it's ball 1. And you see how they're playing it. They're 3 on the right side, but now they're moving back a little bit. They were all the way almost to the infield grass. Back to the screen. Matt Duffy is on deck. Brandon Belt, he got hot, about not quite 2 weeks ago when the Giants were playing at Salt River Fields. He hit a tape measure home run, and then he started hitting home runs at one point in 5 at bats. He had 4 home runs. Holding is Buster Posey as Alonso takes that one, and Belt is not able to get Posey home from third. 2 down. And here comes Duffy.
Those are the type of bats, though, that give RBI guys absolute fits. I mean, you got to run at third base in less than 2 outs. In their mind, they're thinking this is a given. I'm knocking this run in, and when they fail to do it, and that's an at bat that haunts them for a while.
Kendall Graveman, 2 runs on the board. Span led off the inning with a single. Panic walked. Buster hit a 2-run double. Buster's at third, 2 down. That ball saved by Fegley. 1 ball to no strikes. Brandon Crawford on deck. Matt Duffy had 2 hits last night, a single and a double. One and one.
Now for Graveman, he's not having any problem on that outside corner of right-handers. I mean, he's painting that side of the plate.
Beauty. 1-2 the count. Duffy trying to get Buster Posey home from third. And now time taken is Graveman. It's taking a long time. Duffy back in there now. A count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2. Giants go to Milwaukee. A day game at what, 11:10 a.m. California time on Monday for the first game of the 2016 season. Way outside, and Fegley did a great job of saving that one. Full count.
25 pitches. That's a lot of pitches in an inning. And I think you're going to see that a lot this year in opposing pitchers facing this Giants lineup. They grind. Now let's watch the effort from Fegley as he goes wide. Run at third base, remember? So he's got to block that ball. Can't let that thing spit away.
And he got him to chase it. Strike 3. But the Giants get 2 on Buster Posey's double. Jake Peavy back to the mound for the second. Options, the opening day pack guarantees you a ticket to the home opener against the Dodgers on Thursday and 3 other games starting at $199. And the Red Sox pack, which includes interleague games versus the Blue Jays, Orioles, and of course the Red Sox, starting at $99. Visit sfgiants.com/mini-pack for more information, or to go ahead and get yourself one of those. Or 2 of them, or 3 of them, or 4 of them. There's a called strike for Jake Peavy to Chris Coghlan. Coghlan, the former Cub, he was a Cub last year. And the Athletics picked him up, and they figured to use him somewhat the way that Ben Zobrist has been used for many years. Zobrist, ironically, is now himself a Cub. Brandon Belt bobbles it, picks it back up. Peavy covering. Coghlan is retired.
Well, join NBC Bay Area's Today in the Bay for the Giants home opener. Sam Brock and Laura Garcia Cannon will be live from the ballpark all morning with a sneak peek at the fan favorites, from the new food and beer to the great giveaways. Don't miss a special Today in the Bay Thursday starting at 4:30 a.m. on NBC Bay Area.
Billy Butler now. 1 ball to no strikes. And it's 2-0 now to Country Breakfast. Billy Butler.
That's a great nickname. Country Breakfast.
He hit the ball. He did not start the game last night. He came in as a pinch hitter in the 7th and hit a shot for a base hit into right center. This guy can hit.
Yeah, I think he's one of the quickest guys middle in. Kind of reminds me of Bob Horner as to how quick he is on the inside corner. If you're going to challenge him on the inside part of that plate, you better bring some fuzz. Nice pitch.
He hit .333 against the Giants in the World Series in 2014. Although they kept him in the ballpark, he had only 1 extra base hit, a double. He did knock in 3 runs. That will go foul out of play. 3-2 the count to Billy Butler. He once had 29 homers and 107 RBIs. That was 4 years ago.
Hey, the Ninja Turtles are here. I didn't know they liked corn dogs.
Was that that was a corn dog? Strike 3 called.
Front door slider, and it absolutely freezes Butler. He sees this thing as being inside, and all of a sudden, watch the quick little movement coming back into the strike zone. And that's the one thing that really has gotten Dave Rigetti excited about Peavy right now, is that slider is quick. And that was a good example of it.
And there's called strike one to Yonder Alonso. Well, Peavy was not healthy when last season began.
You know, he didn't say much about it. He just kept going out there thinking it was going to get better. Never did. But he got the problems in his lower back fixed. And he got his arm back. And he wound up having a real good second half.
Well, the Giants had gotten him in a trade from the Red Sox around the trading deadline in 2014. And he was in the worst losing streak of his career, and it continued with the Giants for a while. But then ultimately he ended up being one of the most successful pitchers in the league for the last 9-10 starts that he made. He had a 2.17 ERA with the Giants, helping them get to the postseason. And then last year he had a very similar stretch run the second half of the season. He was outstanding again. That is along the left field line, foul. Pagan giving chase, but can't get to it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, and he's a great energy source in that clubhouse as well. I mean, he brings a lot to a team. But I think it really gets down to a guy's health. If he's making contribution on the field, I mean, he can make bigger contributions in the clubhouse. It all starts with that.
Just a little bit low.
And that was a could have been too with Mike Malinsky. He likes that low strike. That was not that far away from the strike zone.
Just a bit inside. 3-2. We're talking about Peavy and how well he finished last year. He came back from the disabled list on July the 3rd, and the Giants went 11-4 in his last 15 starts. And he finished the year with a 5-game winning streak.
Taking his time. Just subtle ways of trying to affect a hitter's rhythm.
And you can see Peavy talking to himself now.
He's not happy with a 2-out walk, especially when he had the advantage in the count.
So Alonso is at first, and here comes Josh Fegley. Giants ahead 2-0 in the second inning.
Did you say Fegley?
I say it's Fegley, is it not? Josh Fegley. He was part of the trade that sent Jeff Samardzija from Oakland to the White Sox before last year. They got Fegley, and last night's Oakland starter Chris Bassett in that deal. Fegley, always considered an excellent catcher, and he's got some pop with the bat. The only rap on him as a hitter really has been that he pretty much swings at everything. Rarely takes a walk. Whoa, what a pickup by Duffy. He's going to go to first. One hop. He got it. Wow. He had looked at second base and thought better of it, so went ahead and fired to first, and he bounced it in there, and Belt took care of the rest. What a play by Matt Duffy to end the Athletics' second inning.
Just a great high speared backhand, and the toughest backhand there is, and gets up and throws him out. Great play.
San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge. The Giants leading the Athletics 2-0. And let's go down to Amy G.
All right, thanks so much, John. And Jeff Samardzija, thanks for joining us in the game. And I know when you became a San Francisco Giant in the offseason, fans could not wait to see you pitch in a Giants uniform at AT Park. And last night they were not disappointed. How anxious were you to get that start under your belt?
Yeah, I was excited. You know, I've pitched here as a visitor a few times and always enjoyed the atmosphere. And I was just excited to get out there on the home side. And you know, first impressions are always key. And even though it doesn't mean anything out there in an exhibition game, we still want to go out and have a good start out here and you know, leave a good taste in everybody's mouth.
Seems like you had a little bit better than a good start. I mean, you gave up a leadoff triple, and then you go on to retire the next 15. When you went home last night, coming into the game, what were your expectations? What were you working on? Then when you went home, how did you evaluate your start?
Yeah, you know, we wanted to get the pitch count up, and we accomplished that, and we'd done that 2 starts in a row, so that was nice. But, you know, I just want to go out there and have fun and enjoy this team. It's such a great team to play with. The excitement level is through the roof, and just the preparation you see with these guys and how much they love the game. It makes you want to go out there and give everything you have also. So you just go out there and have fun and you know, see what happens.
Will you expand a little more on that X factor of fun? Because this game is a grind, and you are on a schedule, and it's very demanding. How important is it for a team to have fun, and does that translate to success?
Absolutely. You know, you got to have a shooter's mentality out there. It's short-term memory, and good or bad, you got to put it behind you because, you know, you can get complacent both ways. You're having a good stretch. You can get a little lazy and tired, and so you got to have that fun mixed in just so you know you're working hard every day and you're enjoying coming to the park because it can be a grind in the midsummer, and so you got to have those positives that play in every day. And you know, having a team like this helps out a lot too because you know they're excited to play every day, so it makes you excited to play.
Last one for you. I just wanted to ask about your relationship with Buster Posey, and you guys seemed very locked in last night. Coming in as a new Giant, how important was you as a starting pitcher was it to establish that relationship?
It's important, you know. A pitcher-catcher relationship is, you know, there's a lot to be said about it, and all that you know, unspoken language that goes on out there, and eye contact and things like that. And just a feel for each other is so important. And you know, I'm learning too to go out there and take my time because you know you trust Buster back there so much. You know, you just want to execute the pitch that he calls, and obviously there's gonna be times when you want to do something different. But you know, what a great reference to have back there to lean on, especially in a new division for me that I haven't pitched against a lot of these teams too much. And the last time I did was a couple years ago. So. A great reference, and I'll be leaning on him heavily, trust me.
All the best to you in 2016, Jeff Samardzija. Gentlemen, let's get it back up to you.
Thanks to Amy G and to Jeff Samardzija, who was superb last night. He mentioned the previous start as well against his old team, the Cubs. And still down in the desert, he pitched a beauty, 6 strong against the Cubs at the Cubs' new spring training home, Sloan Park. Angel Pagan, 2 down, nobody on. Crawford grounded out to start the inning. Peavy struck out. Knocked down by Valencia. In the dirt, scooped by Alonso for the putout. 3 up, 3 down. Peavy back to the mound. 2-0 Giants. Part by McDonald's. Download the McD app on your smartphone for great deals on the food you love at participating McDonald's. I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow and Amy G here also. And Dave Fleming will be moving over from the radio side into the TV booth in the middle innings. There's ball one from Jake Peavy to Marcus Semien. Dwayne Kuiper is on assignment. Marcus Semien back for his second year with the Athletics. A curveball spins in there for a strike. There's Dave. He'll be coming on 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. Dave did some investigative reporting about an incident that occurred in last night's game. I'm not going to tell you too much about it because Dave is the one who uncovered everything. It was in the second inning of the game last night.
Well, you're right. It has everything to do with the balk, and we are going to show the balk that happened last night and explain what was the cause for the balk. And it was Dave that found out, as none of us could see what the offense was. And there's been now a directive sent out to all the umpires that there's a new look that baseball players have come up with that they're going to put it into. And it happened in last night's ball game, and we're going to let Dave continue with his investigative report. And it's a good one.
You know, it's the kind of story I'm trying to get Dave a spot on that 4:30 a.m. NBC Bay Area news report. That's called strike 3 to Semien, because it'd be easy enough. He's here, and then just go over to NBC Bay Area right after the game.
Well, it's a natural. Just head over.
Start investigating, write your stuff, and put it together.
But he'll ask a question during the course of a ball game, and you know, a lot of us just kind of walk out the door when the game's over and forget about the question. But he won't forget, and he'll find out about the answer the next day. And this is what the case in regards to the balk last night.
Coco Crisp with a foul ball back into the second deck. Strike one. Crisp singled his first time. 2-0. The Giants lead the Athletics. We're in the third inning. And that will go back out of play. 0-2 the count.
We talk about the ability of Denard Span and Joe Panik at the top of the Giants lineup, who can take an 0-2 count to a walk and get pitches out of you. Well, Coco Crisp has been doing it for a long time. That's one of his specialties. It's such an asset when you have a leadoff hitter that can do that, get pitches, bring a good report about what that pitcher's throwing that particular night back to the bench. And it all has to do with discipline of the strike zone. Know what is going to be a strike, and that isn't that easy, considering that every pitcher's release is different, every pitcher's movement's different, every umpire's strike zone is different. When you have that ability as a hitter, I mean, that's a true asset.
2-2. Joe Panik on the outfield grass. Coco Crisp out number 2 in the third inning. 2-0. The Giants on top as Mark Canha will come up now for the Athletics. Giants opening up in Milwaukee Monday morning, California time, 11:10 a.m. Madison Bumgarner against Willie Peralta. Johnny Cueto will make his debut in the night game on Tuesday, his Giants debut, and then Jeff Samardzija will pitch his first game. That'll be 10:40 in the morning on Wednesday, the getaway game before the Giants head back home to face the Dodgers. A curveball missing for ball one. In that game on Wednesday, Jeff Samardzija scheduled to face Matt Garza. Garza was making his final outing of the spring tonight in Houston for the Brewers, and he had to leave the game. And the manager of the Brewers said that it's a shoulder strain, and he doesn't think it's serious. So whether he'll be able to make that start is a little bit of a question mark now for the Brewers. But that's the thing you were talking about, Mike. The last thing you want to see happen in these final exhibitions. Just want everybody to be healthy, ready to go.
Well, and teams that train in Arizona, you get used to 80-degree weather or sometimes 90-degree weather, and your body gets used to it. Now all of a sudden you go up into your cities that are up north and they're cooler, and all of a sudden it changes things. And guys, their bodies react differently when they go from hot to cold. And there is a vulnerability to everybody on that club until they can adjust to it. But it is the fear of every big league manager, general manager right now this time of year.
One and two the count to Canna. He flied out to shallow right center to Denard Span his first time. And the foul ball right past Ron Washington. 1-2 the count.
Watch the leg whip of Jake Peavy in the follow through after he throws his pitch. Yow! Pow! Take that. You think Bruce Lee would have appreciated that kick? But I mean, he couldn't do that last year this time. I mean, he was knotted up in his lower back, his hip was biting. He's having a nice word with himself. It's always an ongoing conversation from Jake Peavy to Jake Peavy.
Did he swing? Yes, he did. The plate umpire, Malinsky, makes the call himself. Strike 3, third strikeout for Jake Peavy. Top of the order, Span, Panic, and Buster Posey coming up. Giants 2, Oakland nothing. Last of the third. Kendall Graveman on the mound for the Athletics. And here is Denard Span to lead off for the Giants. He started the first inning with a single to right. Giants ended up getting 2 runs in the inning. Span singled, Panic walked, and then Buster Posey hit a double down the left field line to get them both home. See, Span's numbers last year, 365 on base average in an injury shortened season. That's not much different than his lifetime on base average, which is part of what made him so attractive to the Giants.
Yeah, he's 287 lifetime hitter, I think. I mean, he's just a grinder. I mean, he can use the whole field. He can do a lot of things for you offensively, but he sets the table. I mean, that's his biggest asset. I mean, that's his job. He does it well.
1 ball and 2 strikes now.
But the other thing too about Span, and I always thought every great leadoff hitter had this ability is they can take you deep. The one fear you have against a base stealer is a guy that you can't walk him. You have to pitch to him, and if you just lay stuff in there, guys that can hit the ball in the ballpark, I mean that's a scary thing for a starting pitcher or any pitcher.
He had to quickly jump back out of harm's way on that one.
I mean, the greatest leadoff hitter of all time, Ricky Henderson. I mean, that was what he would do. I mean, you could not dare walk the guy because then all of a sudden now it's a double or a triple because of his ability to steal. But if you laid it in there, he'd take you deep.
2-2. Span hit 5 home runs last year. Only played 61 games. He's also 3 different times in his career hit 10 triples or more. 2014 with the Nationals, when they had the best record of any team in the National League, he was leading the way that year. 416 on base average, 39 doubles, 8 triples, 5 homers. Led the league in hits. That's a foul out of play. He said that one of his worst memories in baseball was that 18-inning game with the Giants in Game 2 of the division series in 2014, because the Nationals just could not get a run. They had a 1-0 lead into the ninth. The Giants tied the game, and the Nationals never scored again. And Brandon Belt ended up winning that game with a home run. And Span, the expectations were so high for everybody, not just for the Nationals, but especially for them, because they had had such a great year, and a lot of people thought this is a team to go to the World Series and maybe win it. But that 18-inning loss, that put them behind 2-0 to the Giants going to San Francisco.
We had Jeremy Alfeld on our broadcast last night, and he was talking about a conversation he had with Span, and he brought up the 18-inning game, and it basically went like this: "Hey, thanks for the 18-inning game. We appreciated that." And the whole time he was doing it, he was rubbing his World Series ring for 2014. But it is a game that Span will never forget, because he went hitless in that ball game at the top of their lineup, and that didn't happen very often. Span was a real igniter for that Nationals team.
Crisp in shallow center. One away. A long battle. Span succumbs.
Well, Monday, April 18th is Bay Area Unite Night with the Warriors, presented by Pete's Coffee. Your special event package includes a ticket to see the Giants take on the D-backs and a co-branded Giants Warriors hat. You can join us at AT&T Park as we send off the Warriors on their run to another title, we hope. You need to get that hat. You need to purchase a special event ticket. Call 415-972-2298.
Joe Panik walked his first time, and he got the walk after initially falling behind on the count at 0-2, and then later scored on the Buster Posey double. Buster's on deck right now. Giants ahead 2-0 in the third.
Pretty straightaway defensive set against Joe Panik. You're going to see that a lot against him. You can't overplay him to one side of the field. He'll use the whole field. Very balanced hitter. He'll hit the ball where it's pitched.
Three and out.
Taken all the way as well he should. Not going to be any hurry to jump on this pitch either. And he will pipeline a location. He'll look middle in, middle away, wherever. If he gets a pitch, he'll get after it. If it's not there, he'll take it.
It's not there, and he took it for ball 4.
Easy take there. Ideally, I mean, 3-1, especially with Buster Posey on deck, you cannot walk Joe Panik and get yourself in the stretch. And that's 2 times tonight that Panik has walked to set it up for Posey.
And he missed badly in both cases with the 3-ball count. The Buster, who hit a shot on the ground right past third base. No chance for Valencia to get to it. On down the left field line for a 2-run double. 1 ball and no strikes. And now Fegley out to the mound to chat with Kendall Graveman.
You can get a little pump him up conversation right here. If he senses that Graveman's starting to nibble a little bit, he's going to get after him, but he'll do it in a complimentary way. This is the big swing of the bat for the Giants in the first inning with 2 on. Posey takes a fastball and a 2-strike count, and it was not a mislocation. They went right to that inside corner. He simply beat the pitch and to put the Giants on top 2-0.
Into the hole, and Simeon will hang on to it. An infield hit for Buster Posey. Panic into second. It's Buster's 5th hit in the last 2 games here against the Athletics.
Well, that's a hit you get when you're hot. Right off the end of the bat, kind of split the defense. I mean, early in the season, he was hitting the ball right on the screws, and he wasn't getting anything to drop. But now they're starting to fall just in time for the opening day game. Monday, it's coming quick, partner.
Can't wait. 0-1 to Hunter Pence, who hit a dribbler that was handled by the pitcher, who threw him out back in the first inning. So Pence is 0 for 1. 1 out, 2 men on. RBI opportunity here for Hunter Pence. Giants ahead 2-0. Strike 2.
Softballing. 2 off-speed pitches to get an 0-2 advantage here. But Graveman has definitely shown the ability to put all of his pitches in the strike zone.
He's worked hard these first 3 innings. He's got 1 out in the 3rd. This will be his 55th pitch.
Well, and ideally you want to have 15 pitches or less every inning. Dave Righetti likes 14 or less. But you know, at the end of the 3rd inning, you should be at 45 pitches, and here he is with 1 out at 55. Give you an idea of how much he has been overworked. But you get used to that. The Giants lineup will do that to a lot of pitchers this year.
He'll get 1 at second and back to first. Double play.
I don't know about that one.
Took a while for Anthony Johnson to make the call. And wait a minute. The umpires started to. I think Bruce Bochy, this might be one of those games where they can actually challenge the call.
Well, I mean, you have to start getting used to doing some of the things. It turned out to be a good call.
So no replay review. Dave Fleming coming over from the radio side when we come back.
Mark, we're going into the fourth inning. Giants with a lead over the A's, 2-0. Joining us now in the booth, Dave Fleming. Welcome.
I got to practice working with you a few innings here.
Indeed. I mean, we're going to do that a lot this year.
We are. Glad to be over here on this side. Nice, well-played game again tonight.
Well, you get kind of used to it, and it's kind of fun to see this group together. This is only the fourth time all spring long that they've been able to start the game together. We're talking about the Giants lineup. And they have been very good tonight defensively behind a very good Jake Peavy.
Yeah, the regular lineup is a pretty good-looking lineup when the Giants have all their regulars in there. And the defense looks good. All the pieces look to be in place. Well, Josh Reddick here for Oakland to start the fourth. 2-ball, no-strike count. What's your impression of Peavy so far?
Oh, fantastic. You know, I had a conversation with Dave Rigetti, and he said he's throwing as good as he did all last second half of last season. And 2 starts ago, he really showed it with his slider. In 4 1/3 innings was his outing. He struck out 8 guys. And it was slider. It was really quick. And he's had a quick slider tonight.
That one got a little too much of the plate.
Except for that one right there.
Yeah. Reddick hit it hard. Leadoff single. One thing about Peavy for this season, I think, part of the idea of the Giants signing Samardzija, signing Cueto, putting more emphasis on, hey, we're going to get more innings out of our starting rotation was to take some of the burden to do that off of Peavy. Peavy can just let it all hang out there, and if that's 5 innings, if that's 6 innings, assuming the other guys do what the Giants expect them to do, I think they'll be fine being aggressive with the bullpen on those Peavy starts.
Well, you know, I'm sure he's heard all that, but in his own mind, I mean, once you've been an ace, once you've been a Cy Young Award winner, I mean, you don't think of yourself as a 5 or 6 inning guy, but the point you make is that's legit. I mean, that's a great point. He doesn't have to be a 7 inning guy anymore. But I think that he can be.
Yep.
But the other guys that Giants are bringing in are guys that attack the strike zone. Jeff Samardzija, Johnny Cueto. We know how Madison Bumgarner attacks. What we've seen from Matt Cain this spring, I mean, he's getting back into the same type of form we saw a couple years ago.
Two 2-0 the count here. That one is hit kind of a cue shot foul on the first base side.
But it all gets back down to your starting staff eating up innings. And the Giants, I think, have a staff this year of their 5 starters, provided they stay healthy. I think they're going to throw between 900 and 1,000 innings. And if you can get that out of your starting staff, I mean, you're going to have a healthy pitching staff the whole year. Your bullpen will not get overworked.
2-1 to Danny Valencia. Peavy steps off.
But if you get 3 guys in your staff that are going 200+ innings, the other 2 guys don't have to.
Yeah.
And from Peavy's perspective, the point you make, he doesn't have to be a 200 guy. He could be a 160, 175 inning guy and make big time contributions. Plus, it keeps him fresh in September and then hopefully in October.
Here's a ball off the end of the bat, and Span got a little bit of a late break, but has the speed to get there.
I guess the best closure we've seen on a Span effort to catch a fly ball all spring. You know, he said that he was going to put his defense together at the back end of spring training. He really has done this. Here he did not get a good jump. I mean, he sat back a long time, but that's good closing speed of the ball. And if you've got speed, you can make up for a bad jump, bad first step. It'll take him a while to get used to this ballpark.
Yeah. A very different place to play. 1 out, and Chris Coughlin taking low, ball 1. But they took it so easy on Span in the early part of the spring with the hip problems from last year and trying to make sure he was totally healthy. been nice to see here in this last, I mean, it's only been really the last couple weeks where he's really ramped it up.
It's kind of how most of these veterans on this Giants club have approached spring.
Yes.
Got their work done early, but really have started to intensify as we get closer to opening day.
Well, you and I were both down there a bunch of different times in Scottsdale, and that was in some ways, that was kind of the theme of the spring. The idea of we are not going to overextend ourselves. Our goal is we're staying healthy. We're going to be ready physically for the start of the year, but so many guys have been through it so many times. It was the pacing of spring felt different this year. The ball's hit hard down the right field line, and it is a foul ball.
Now this is game number 34 on the spring training schedule for the Giants, but that doesn't talk about all the B games that were played as well. And they had a lot of innings that weren't in the win-loss column, and they still have one more game to go. And John pointed out, as you see the replay of this line drive, a foul about a foot and a half. Definitely foul. I don't know what the but he's definitely lobbying for a double. I don't blame him.
But it was foul. But yeah, the point, a lot of games and a lot of B games, and so plenty of chances to be ready for the start of the year.
And John brought up the term slow play, which we heard Bruce Bochy say a lot. He said, just, we're not going to grind these guys, which is why they haven't played as a unit. The starting lineup you see tonight, which is going to be
good play by Matt Duffy for out number 2. He's part of that defense you were talking about.
And it had everything to do with how he was preset. They pulled him off the line, took away the 5.5 hole, the hole between the short and third baseman. A nice quick step, and he spears it to the backhand. You see where he sets up prior to the pitch. Well, that's the difference. But in that this team was slow played, and they've only played together 4 times. Now, you can see that they're starting to get a little rhythm collectively as a group, and that's significant.
Here's Billy Butler with 2 down. Reddick at first. You mentioned that setting of the defense pre-pitch. Clayton Kershaw had some interesting comments this week about his dislike for the overshifts that everybody uses now. Butler hits that one hard. Pagan right there, though. More good defense for the Giants. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. Some more big hitters coming up for the Giants, including Belt. Giants lead 2-0.
by PG&E. PG&E wants customers to stay safe and stay informed if there are power outages in their area. Sign up for outage alerts at pgne.com/outage alerts. PG&E, together building a better California.
Yeah, it's the Bay Bridge series, and we can see the Bay Bridge just around the corner from the ballpark. Brandon Belt leading off for the Giants against Kendall Grape. It's ahead 2-0. Belt grounded out in his first at bat.
You know, we had a play last night. A balk was called, and when we saw the replay, we really didn't see as to what the infraction was. And you had an interesting conversation with Bill Miller, who's the crew chief of this umpiring crew tonight before the game.
I did. I saw Bill coming into the ballpark. There's Bill, who is a Northern California native, a Santa Cruz guy. And, well, yeah, let's ask Bill for the appeal. No swing. Belt's still up there. And Bill wanted to talk about the balk from last night's game because he sympathized with us. He said, you know, that's a hard one to see, and it's something new that we're really, it's not a new rule, but we're really paying close attention for this year. It's been a directive. And in his words, and we'll get a chance to look at the play that you're talking about after Belt's at bat is done. But in his words, he believes that pitchers have changed the way that they work from the windup over time, and that has started to trickle in the way that they work with runners on base. And there's a little bad habit that certain pitchers have picked up that should be called a balk, that umpires are going to be looking a little more closely for.
You saw Chris Bassett in the A's dugout. He was the guy that committed the balk.
Belt hits that one hard into right center field, and that's a leadoff hit for Brandon Belt. It'll be a leadoff single. So this is the play we're talking about, Mike.
Oh, we were watching the hands, which we were so accustomed to do, but watch the left foot. And really, this is like a windup. A lot of guys with an abbreviation windup, that little step back there is actually a windup. It's not a stretch position. Now, again, watch the front foot. It'll have a take back, and that's a balk. What you have to do is lift that front leg up directly from a stop position straight up. You cannot have that step back. If you do it, it's a balk. And it really is, as you pointed out to me before the game, because of David Price, who really is the guy that started it. In fact, the umpires call it the David Price rule.
David Price does it a lot, and so hopefully somebody's told David Price they're going to be looking for this. That's a grounder that the A's turn into a double play. Duffy just barely out at first. The Belt erased. 2 down.
But we see this all over baseball, in that take-back steps and wind-ups are becoming so abbreviated, very, very stretch-like, with the exception of that little half step back. Again, watch the front foot, that little step right there. It's about the length of your shoe. Sometimes it's even less than that. But guys have employed it into their stretch position, which is an infraction of the rule, and that's what happened last night, which is why you got a balk call. And thank you, Bill Miller, for clearing that up. And nice job of, as John said, your investigative reporting.
Yeah, I dug deep for that one. Bill came running over to me, said, hey, I got to tell you about this. Brandon Crawford takes strike one, a curveball, but I am glad he did. And he said they've had calls about it. 'Cause you said it perfectly. Just imagine that same move with nobody on base. We're seeing more and more pitchers, instead of the old traditional square to home plate, then start your windup. So many pitchers are using that very abbreviated windup, really almost just like a stretch position. That's trickled over when there actually are runners on base, and he can't do it then. So that's the intent of looking a little more closely at that.
You know, in the evolution of pitching, if you ever get a chance to see Ken Burns' documentary on baseball, go back and take a look at some of the old windups.
Exactly.
They're awesome. But the take-back step was enormous. And everybody brought their hands above their head, and they'd windmill their arms, and they had so much motion. But as baseball has evolved, pitching has become more compact, and the idea behind the small take-back step is to keep it in an upright and balanced position before you start your motion home. A bigger take back, your body sways, you lose your balance. And that really is something that a lot of little leaguers do. They have a huge take back step. The big leaguers have cut it short, and now they're sneaking it into the stretch position, which is an infraction of the rules, and it's a balk, and we saw it last night. You'll see more and more of that this year. There's a directive that's been sent down by the league office to the umpires. You're going to see it called.
Yep. And Bill even admitted that he thought that Bassett did it another time in the game and that it wasn't called, and he went back and looked at it and he thought, yeah, he had done it a second time. Crawford strikes out swinging, so the leadoff hit, but the double play. Giants don't score. We'll go to the 5th in San Francisco. Thank you, Bill. We learned something today.
Giants have a 2-0 lead over the Oakland Athletics. We're heading into the top of the 5th inning. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Amy Gutierrez. Guys, March 27th, a really good day for Trevor Brown. As people are probably well aware, he was elected as the Barney Nugent Award recipient on that day. Matt Duffy was last year's award winner, and it goes to the Giant in his first spring training camp that best exemplifies the Giant spirit. So that day, Matt Duffy got to go tell Trevor Brown, hey, buddy, you won. And Trevor said, so cool, I'm going to call my mom. Later that day, after the game, Trevor Brown finds out, hey, buddy, you made the 25-man roster. Guess what? He called his mom. Good day for Trevor Brown. Great day for mom. 2 calls from her baby boy. Gentlemen.
And a good play by Angel Pagan to start the 5th inning. I love that award is a well-respected award in the Giants organization. And I love that we get to remember and think about Barney every year.
Now, Barney Nugent was quite a character and really a great trainer. But he was one of those guys that, it wasn't just book smarts that he had. I mean, he had street smart, and he could read people and players. And we lost him a couple years ago, and it just it hurt all of us. He was a good man. So I'm glad to see his name being perpetuated in an award. It means a lot to us.
That one to very shallow right field, shallow enough where Panic will take it. 2 down. By the way, Mike, we were talking about the balk. Want to talk about more rules? This was that double play. Brandon Belt.
Well, it's a revision of a rule, and you have to be able to touch the bag, and apparently the umpires ruled that he was not in position to touch the bag.
So I think it's a lot of words there for the new wording on the slide rule, which has many components to it. But it turns out the umpires did call Belt out, and it's an automatic double play. Then the batter runner is also out,
and he deviated from his pathway. And kind of ticky-tacky. We never saw it before, but it's going to be called a lot this year. And the neighborhood play has completely been redefined. Players now have to be in contact with the bag to get a force.
Yep.
There's not going to be an assumption that it's been that the contact has been made. And when you slide into base, you have to hit the ground before you get to the base, and then you can't slide past the base. So all rules designed to protect the middle infielders.
2-1. That one hit hard to left, but right there, Angel Pagan. The A's are retired in order. If you like rules and talking about rules and thinking about rules, this is the broadcast for you.
We were waiting for you, Dave.
Leading the A's, bottom of the 5th inning. Amy G, we enjoyed you so much a few moments ago. We're going right back to you.
All right, well, that's good because we got Sergio Romo, and the fans love to hear from him. And first and foremost, how anxious are you guys? It's 2 days until opening day. I mean, can you hardly wait?
Well, me personally, I know I can't. I can honestly, I feel that I can speak for the rest of my teammates and say that, yeah, we're kind of biting at the bit to get it going. Being here in the atmosphere at AT Park, I mean, even though it's an exhibition game series against, you know, those guys from across the way, it still feels like the season. I mean, it's a packed crowd. I mean, it's unbelievable atmosphere all the time. So, yes, definitely chomping at the bit.
Angel Pagan, I was talking to him earlier, and he said some interesting things as a position player, how he utilizes spring training day by day to work on something specific. So 2 strike counts and trying to go the other way. As a reliever, how do you approach spring training? I know you were kind of, you know, slow to get going, but how do you use spring training? What are you working on?
For me personally, just showing up to spring training, first off, just want to show them that I'm healthy and that what I did in the offseason, like I was productive. You know, I didn't just sit around or whatnot. I worked hard and I was prepared. But also coming in spring, when the games come into play, I want to let them know that I have things that I feel that I can improve on. If it be control, command with either pitch, any pitch that I have, fastball, slider, changeup, whatnot, sinker, learning how to pitch inside, establishing the fastball inside and then going away, learning how to set up my breaking ball, which is my best pitch, a little bit better. Also, learning how to make that better pitch of mine better. I know it sounds odd to say it that way, but there's still ways to improve even on the things that I do well on or that I've said or I've done well in the past. I mean, it does differ from, you know, for position, but we do have the mindset on each day. There's something we want to work on.
Sergio, you know more than anyone else how important Buster Posey is to the pitching staff. To try and fill his shoes seems impossible, but Trevor Brown has been doing a pretty good job, and we just mentioned that he was the Barney Nugent Award winner this spring. What is your take on Trevor and how he's established himself so quickly with you guys?
I mean, well-deserved award from spring. You know, it's his first spring invitation, and he showed up and was ready. He produced. I mean, he beat out pretty solid catcher.
So not nice.
It's okay. They got to get me back when they can. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like me about 100 points, and that was just maybe 1 now for the rest. We take it in stride. It is what it is. But back to Brownie.
I have 0 points, by the way. I have 0.
Brownie, I mean, he did well. He beat out Susak, which is not an easy task because Susak came back a little healthier this year and he seemed ready to rock as well. But for a guy like him, he's quiet, and some of those guys, you're kind of afraid of the quiet guys, so to speak. Those silent assassin types. And he came in and that's what he did. He showed us that he can play. I mean, even last year, we called upon him towards the end. See, that's not
100-2.
It's not even a point anymore. It's only 1 point a day, guys. Come on, let's be honest. You got to come up with a different one at least. Anywho,
I can't wait to find out who it is.
Yeah, I kind of have an idea.
I want to ask you one more question because you guys. Oh, now it's in my hair. Now it's on. All right, I might get into this now. You guys lost Tim Lincecum and Tim Hudson after last season, and they're again hard to replace. But Samardzija and Cueto come in here and kind of just fill in that cast of characters. Again, how easy has the transition been, or smooth, maybe I should say?
Well, I mean, they also bring the style with the hair. I mean, I know Huddy didn't have much hair to work with, but he still had style with what he did have going on. Lincecum, I mean, Tim is in his own little world. He's such an awesome individual. But those two men, they're definitely going to be hard to replace in the clubhouse, let alone on the field. What they were able to do and help us on the field, it's impressive. They were consistent and they were help us, all the time. But in the clubhouse, unbelievable human beings. Very caring, very, very giving, and very unselfish human beings. So funny too in their own rights. Very witty, both of them. So they'll be missed in their own ways. But the guys that we got now, I mean, we don't ask them to replace them. We just ask them to be themselves and to show us what they have and where they fit in this puzzle. And as of what it seems of now, I mean, we're pretty solid. So.
All right, Sergio Romo, always a pleasure. We're going to go get some sunflower seeds right now. We'll be back after the break.
Back here in San Francisco, Dodgers coming here to AT Park opening week, April 7th through April 10th. And lots of stuff going on. The opening week calendars, the fireworks night, Beat LA flags, all those giveaways. Tickets are available sfgiants.com/tickets. We got lots of changes, including after Peavy was lifted for the pinch hitter Blanco, Chris Heston, who on one pitch gets Coco Crisp for out number one here in the sixth. So Heston in the ball game.
And very quickly, Chris Heston gets himself a ground ball, and that's significant in that he is a sinker ball specialist, but he can do many more things. I mean, he's got two types of fastball, four-seam, two-seam, curveball, slider, changeup, and really had a nice spring going. The last couple starts, he threw some runs on the board and kind of pumped up his ERA. One outing in particular, but it's 19 strikeouts against 4 walks in 18 innings. It tells you that he's ready to go.
Yeah, when we saw him in the middle of the spring, I thought he looked great. So Blanco, who hit for Peavy, stays in, and he's in center field. Span comes out, and the Giants have a new catcher. So the guy we've been talking about the last inning or so, who has made the team unofficially, but he'll be on the opening day roster. Trevor Brown now catching. Buster Posey had another couple runs batted in, 2 more hits tonight, and he'll take the rest of the game off. And maybe the rest of the spring off. That could be it for him until opening day.
Yeah, and he may DH or whatever tomorrow, get a couple of at-bats, but I mean, he's done his homework. He's ready to go, and it's not a bad thing to give your starting catcher a couple days off going into the season, rest up. I mean, he's going to spend the next 6 months in a squat. It does tend to take its toll on you.
Mark Canha, the hitter for Oakland. Giants still lead 2-0. They got their 2 runs, the first 3 hitters of the game. Span single, panic walk. Posey doubled them both home, and it's been 2-0 since then.
Yeah, it really has been a very nice pitch game since that. Graveman settled down, and Jake Peavy is fantastic tonight.
Yeah, 5 shutout innings, gave up only a couple hits. That one hit hard, but foul.
Well, it was also, you know, we said the same thing last night about Jeff Samardzija. Utilized all his pitches, all of his locations and movements, and was in complete control of them. You can say the exact same thing about Peavy. Plus, his slider has just been electric the last 3 times out. He is definitely ready to be the home opening day pitcher for the Giants come Thursday.
Yeah, that'll be Giants, Dodgers, PV. We were talking about that series. Canha pops that one up kind of into no man's land. It's going to drop foul. Pence gave it a good effort, could not get there.
So Hunter Pence come over to the side, making a friend.
Yeah.
Psyched.
He makes a lot of friends over the course of a year.
Yeah, and he does not slow down in the offseason.
No.
His Twitter page is pretty busy.
He's doing online videos and who knows what else. But it's a lot of stuff.
That's how he takes on life. I mean, he's 5th gear. Go get him.
Coffee shop reviews. This ball fouled down the right field line in the direction of Hunter Pence.
And you really have to pay attention to his reviews because they're spot on.
He knows coffee. He is an aficionado.
And kale.
Yeah. Well, you know he's geared up. The Giants played .670 baseball when he was a starter last year. I mean, he only played, what, 50-plus games? And when he was in there, they were the best team in the league. That one hit well to left center field. Blanco's not going to get there. Mark Canha will ease his way into second. It's a 1-out double.
Well, he needed that. He had about a 1 for 15 going into that at bat. I mean, and the last thing you want to do in spring training is to be stone cold going into the season. Little sinker that drops right over the middle of the plate at the knees. Canha goes down and digs it out. Head stays down nicely, and that has been a problem of his through this little cold spell as he's been pulling off the ball. Not there. Stays down nicely through it, rifles it right through the gap. One hops the wall. Easy 2-bagger.
So now the guy who's probably the A's best hitter, Josh Reddick. Good pitch from Heston there.
You know, the thing about Heston, when you watch him pitch, he's got a nice touch with all of his pitches. He can add and subtract volume and speed on all of his pitches. Curveball, changeup, the sinker.
Well, what do you think about, you talked about how his stuff looks ready to go. Yusmeiro Petit was a big part of this Giants pitching staff as kind of that long man, swing man. That's really the role that at least at the start of the year Heston's going to take over. You think his skill set is suited for that role?
Oh, absolutely. If you listen to his comments too, and they talked to him about the role that he was being asked to assume, I mean, he immediately said, well, you know what, it's going to help me going into the bullpen because it'll make me more efficient in getting loose. So right away he took it as a challenge and an opportunity to get better. And he knows that he's going to get starts this year. And he knows he's going to get innings. But he's also a guy, because of that sinker, that can come into an existing inning, get you out of a jam early in the game, or if somebody goes out of a ball game early as a starter, I mean, he's equipped to go in there and give you 3 innings to get the ball to the bullpen.
That one hit to left center. Pagan and Blanco come together, and Blanco just barely manages to keep it from hitting the outfield grass. Well, still getting used to Pagan being a left fielder out there.
2 captains out there.
Blanco finally took charge. Who's going to get it? Yeah, Blanco had it. 2-0 Giants. Was brought to you in part by Toyota. Toyota's #1 for everyone sales event is here with incredible savings on every Toyota. Beautiful San Francisco night. 2-0 Giants leading the A's. Bay Bridge series, bottom of the 6th inning. And the Giants will have Panic, then Trevor Brown and Hunter Pence coming up as the A's have made some changes. John Axford, veteran, been around for a while, now part of the Oakland bullpen, trying to improve what was a major weak spot last year for the A's. John Axford in to pitch in relief of Graveman.
Take a look at the numbers this spring for Axford. I mean, he's been perfect. 6 strikeouts in 7 1/3, hadn't given up a run. I mean, I'm too happy with the 6 walks in 7 1/3. But I mean, he's unorthodox. I mean, he's right over the top with his release. At times, you know, he'll get criticism for the lack of that are I think anymore. A catcher. That's one position. That's one of the reasons why the Giants drafted him. That's what he's done in spring training. He's been a very solid .324, and a lot of those RBIs have come in 2-out situations. You're trying to make a club. Those are hits that kind of linger in the minds of managers.
Way outside, 2-1. So it's not just Axford. The A's have made some other changes. Franklin Barreto, who is a big-time prospect for them, in at shortstop. Coughlin moves to third. Chad Pinder comes in the game to play second base. Franklin Barreto, he's fun to watch play shortstop. Really, really good defensive player. Foul ball off the bat of Trevor Brown, 2-2.
But we've had that conversation, I mean, for the last several years as to how baseball's evolved, and you see bigger pitching staffs, which means your guys on the bench, and in the Giants' case, they're going to open the season with 4 extra players. They have to be able to do other roles. But when you have a guy that can catch and be a legitimate catcher that can handle staffs and have the confidence of a pitching staff, now that is a commodity, and that's what Trevor Brown gives you.
He does. 2-2, fought it off foul. I will say this too, we had Romo on. Romo had a lot of stuff to say, and it was fun to listen to Sergio. And the way Sergio put it was, Trevor beat out Susac. We will see Susac back up at the big league level. I mean, he was not healthy, missed most of spring. Trevor played great and earned the job, but it's not like Susac is no longer in the Giants' plans.
No, that is not the case. I mean, he had a wrist injury that cost him about 10 days in spring, and it allowed Brown to move past him a bit in the eyes of the Giants, but he is certainly not out of the picture. I mean, he's a very solid player, and he's going to be a big leaguer for a long time. They just need to get him healthy, and that's happening right now.
Yep.
But, you know, if you're Andrew Susac, you have to go down to the minor leagues. Not a bad thing going back to your hometown. He's from Sacramento, where the Giants' AAA team is.
Could be worse.
But, of course, he wants to be here. I mean, understandably.
So full count here to Brown, 3-2. That one sort of flared to right. 2 down. Reddick with the play. We're talking about Brown winning a job, and I don't think a lot of people expected that. The injury created the opportunity. The Dodgers, did you see that today? They announced that Ross Stripling, now, I don't know a lot about Ross, is going to be their 5th starter. He will pitch on opening night here, so Friday, a week from tonight, against Matt Cain, that 5th spot in the order against the Giants to make his major league debut.
Pure rookie.
Has never pitched above AA. So that'd be quite a scene for him to handle in his debut.
Well, yeah, just kind of throw him in the fire quickly. But he will have an advantage, especially that first time through the lineup, because there's nobody in this Giants team that knows him.
I've never laid eyes on him. Big curve for strike 2.
And if there is somebody, it may be Trevor Brown.
Could be. Well, if so, maybe that'll be Brown's first start of the year.
Could be.
0-2 to Pence. So the Giants will see Alex Wood against PV in that home opener. Then the new kid, Ross Stripling. And then it'll be Bumgarner Kershaw on Saturday.
On a Saturday day game. How about that?
That will be fun. Two and 2.
Now the first week of baseball, 3 in Milwaukee and 4 at home against the Dodgers. I mean, get ready. I mean, you jump right into the flow. It's the big leagues. Better be ready.
From 0-2 to 3-2.
And I mean, there are no bad teams in April. There just aren't. I mean, everybody's riding high coming out of spring training with big expectations, and there are no such things as easy series.
Pence goes down swinging. Good inning for John Axford, and John will come back over and join Mike here on the television side as the Giants bring in Cantos after this.
Coverage of everything orange and black. Check out pregame live and postgame live before and after every regular season Giants telecast on CSN Bay Area, authentic Bay Area sports. Game progressing nicely here as we head to the top of the 7th inning. Giants holding a 2-0 lead over Oakland, and back again here with us is John Miller.
And a few changes for the Giants. A new pitcher, George Cantos. You see his numbers for the spring.
Well, he was having a pretty good spring, and all of a sudden he had one outing where he gave up 6 runs and didn't get an out, and that kind of has bloated the ERA. But George throwing the ball pretty well. Fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. The slider's his best pitch.
Well, yeah, if you count that, then it looks bad.
You should get one mulligan, especially in spring training.
I did that game. There's Jarrett Parker now in right field. Kelby Tomlinson now at second base. So Hunter Pence and Joe Panik out of the game as Chris Coghlan fouls one to count 1 ball, 1 strike. Coghlan with Billy Butler due up next, but Butler is not in the on deck circle. Andrew Lambeau has come out on deck. Coghlan has grounded out to first and lined out to Matt Duffy, who made a nice catch on his would-be extra base hit. So now it's 2-1. Matt Duffy's had a couple of outstanding plays over there at third base tonight.
Well, this is the first year in his life that he's ever come into a season at the start of a season and thought of himself as a third baseman, solely a third baseman. He was signed as a shortstop and shortstop in the minor leagues. And the Giants initially thought this guy's going to be a super U, a utility player that could play anywhere in the infield and then on the corners of the outfield. And all of a sudden, opportunity presented itself last year at third base. And he put his hooks into that position, and he is not going to let go. He's a third baseman now, and he really has embraced the position. He looks like a third baseman.
George Cantos. Now time taken by Coghlan. Tired of waiting. 2-2 the count. Still 2-2. You know, you talk about Duffy. They have in the new analytics, they have the numbers that try to quantify how much ground a guy covers and whatnot, how many runs he saves and whatnot. And even though Duffy missed he didn't play third base that much the first month of the season, He was among the leaders in the league, among all third basemen, defensively. And that is all for Chris Coghlan. Cantos comes back to strike him out.
And that is the signature slider of George Cantos. That really has been the pitch that has separated him from other pitchers. It's a no-dot slider. We always talk about the no-dot that Sergio Romo has. Well, same thing can be said about George Cantos. You don't see the normal little tight red eye that you see on the spin of a slider with his. It's a bigger one. It's a more deceptive pitch, and it's a straight down biting break. And that had some nasty snap to it.
Here's Andrew Lambeau to face George Cantos now. Lambeau pinch hitting for Billy Butler, who went 0 for 2 as the DH. And there's ball one. This, by the way, this is the second night in a row in the National League Park the Athletics are using the DH, but the Giants are having the pitcher go ahead and bat.
Well, there's a different rhythm with the DH, and there's a different rhythm with the pitcher hitting. There's no question about that. And I think it's important as you get closer to opening day that you fall into the familiar rhythms that you're going to see in the actual season.
Andrew Lambeau, who was claimed off waivers by the Athletics from the Pirates. He's had some big league experience with the Pirates in the past. And that's a ball out of play off the left field line. By the way, as to why the A's are using the DH and the Giants are not, Bruce Bochy, last night, he kind of joked about it with the writers who asked him about it. He said, I was bribed by Bob Melvin into letting them use it. And then the story went further and said that Melvin bribed him with a bottle of wine. Although I asked Bochy about that during batting practice today. I said, who said that? I never said that.
Well, you wave a bottle of Jordan Cabernet in front of Bruce Bochy. I mean, he'll do a lot of favors for you.
Now time taken, and out to the mound goes Trevor Brown to talk to George Cantos. 1-2 the count to Andrew Lambeau. Giants ahead 2-0 here in the 7th inning. Well, it makes sense that the Giants want their pitchers to get a few at bats before the start of the season, because they're going to bat. That's going to be out of play.
But I mean, tonight's game is really being played like it was a regular season game. And there was a play at first base, the back end of a double play that, you know, normal spring training games, there's no replay involved, but there is replay involved in tonight's ball game. The Giants were holding back. Well, I mean, look, you have to get used to that as a manager, as a bench coach. And certainly when you have a pitcher hitting and not a DH, it's a different rhythm as to how you manage the game. Ooh, nasty breaking ball. George Cantos has got a new toy, folks. He is out of Arizona. He is back in the humidity of the Bay Area. There's a heavier air, and it is absolutely affecting his slider in a very good way. 2 swing and miss strike threes, and he has got to be feeling happy about that.
2 in a row, both left-handed hitters, and here's another lefty, Yonder Alonso. 2 down, nobody on in the 7th. The Giants ahead 2-0. Called a strike.
Curve ball. And that, I think, is a pitch that, you know, George had when he first signed with the Yankees. I mean, he was a starter. He had the curveball. Then he kind of forgot all about it and just went to the slider because it was so good. But now he's brought it back. It was last year. Turned out to be a pretty good pitch for him.
Well, he said earlier in the spring that he really worked on that. And what we just saw, using it for a first pitch strike, that might be the time where we would most likely see it. Off his fingertip. Crawford. And the inning is over. Two nothing Giants. 3 up, 3 down for the Athletics. Brandon Belt coming up. drive across the Bay Bridge and meet at the Coliseum at 1 o'clock TV time on CSN California with Glenn Kuiper and Ray Fosse. Of course, we'll also have it on the Giants KMBR radio network tomorrow afternoon. The finale of springtime exhibition play for another year. Then Monday, opening day, the Giants and the Milwaukee Brewers indoors at Miller Park, 11 a.m. on CSN Bay Area. And we'll be back with you next Friday, 1 week from tonight, for the Giants and Dodgers, a Friday night game from AT Park, NBC Bay Area, and the Giants Television Network. I hope you'll join us. And join us Monday morning. Giants with Madison Bumgarner against Willie Peralta. Here's Sean Doolittle with a called strike to Brandon Belt. 10 a.m. Giants pregame live on CSN Bay Area on Monday morning. You got the overshift on for Belt. And quickly it's 0-2 to Brandon.
93-mile-an-hour fastball right by Belt. This is what he has done in 6 games. 8 strikeouts in 6 innings against 1 walk. Really the most important numbers that you can see, talking about the stuff that Doolittle has. Cut fastball at 92. I mean, he can run some velocity at you. He goes 90 to 95. Good hard slider. Watching him throw it, I couldn't tell if it was a changeup or a split, but it had some good off-speed pitch. It had some down him on it. Be a good neutralizer to a right-handed hitter, which is why he can close.
1-2. He missed about 3/4 of last season with 2 different trips to the disabled list. He had a strained left rotator cuff and began the year in the DL. Came back in late May and then went down again with a strained left shoulder. Well, the catcher Fegley was ready to start firing that ball around the infield for strike 3, but called the ball. 2-2. Doolittle made the American League All-Star team the year before, 2014. He used to be a first baseman. That's a foul out of play off to the left. I remember when we first saw him with Oakland as a pitcher in 2012, and he was rather remarkable because it was late in 2011 that he had been shifted from being a first baseman to becoming a pitcher, and there he was the next year in the big leagues, and he looked pretty good.
He can hit.
He's in the wrong league.
I mean, in 2008, he had 22 home runs, 18 in Stockton and then 4 in Midland. Those guys from South Dakota, man, they can do everything. But just a really a great athlete.
And now trying to come back from injury. 2-2 the count. Belt gets hold of one to center. Crisp. Pretty good at bat though for Brandon Belt, although it ends up in an out. He hit the ball well. The bat started, he looked overmatched against Doolittle. 1 away. And here comes Matt Duffy, who has struck out and grounded into a double play. 2-0 Giants, last of the 7th. Giants bullpen is busy again. Back to the screen. 1-1. There's Hunter Strickland, a hard-throwing right-hander.
He's really been scuffling with a stomach ailment. I'm not sure if he's 100% or how close he is to it, but he's been having a rough couple of days. Go back to the 2nd inning, an outstanding play by Matt Duffy. Hard one-hop top spin. Look how high that backhander is above the shoulder. That's really a tough play. And then he still had enough time to get the out at first base. That was the play of the night, by the way.
It came 1 inning after Buster Posey hit a shot right down that same third base line for a 2-run double. And off the bat, we thought that Josh Fegley was going to get an extra base hit. There was a runner at first, and Matt Duffy thought otherwise, as we just saw. That's too high. 2-2. Matt Duffy hitting 6th in the order for the Giants in this one. Down the right field line, foul. Right, almost to the bricks. 2-2 the count to Duffy. Bruce Bochy said yesterday at the play ball lunch when we asked him about if everything was all set for the season with the ball club, and he said, well, he had not decided about the lineup yet. He was still making lineups and remaking them. Still fiddling around with that. There's a foul out of play off to the right.
Well, I mean, you're going to see these 8 guys a lot. The lineup that started tonight. But I think he's going to play with it. I think he's going to move guys around a little bit depending on who they're going to be facing that particular day.
2-2 the count to Duffy. 1 out, nobody on. Left center, and no. Canna got the glove on it and could not put the squeeze on it. Duffy safe at first.
It would have been a nice play, and I'm sure he's disappointed he didn't make the play because he did indeed get a lot of glove on it. Nice at bat, good 2-strike at bat. Just hits him low in the heel of the glove, and he can't quite get it in the pocket. But if you ask him, he'll tell you he probably should have had it.
Almost. There's such exquisite timing, and we're used to seeing guys, they dive, they make the catch. We see that all the time in big league ball, and I think it's easy to overlook just how amazing it is when somebody actually does make a play like that. Fielded by Pinder, the second baseman, to throw out Brandon Crawford as Duffy moves over to second. 2 down.
Nice play.
And here comes Gregor Blanco. But we were talking about Bochy in the lineup. He did say earlier this spring, when he talked about toying with the idea of the pitcher hitting 8th and Pagan 9th, and then one of the writers asked him, well, let's say that you're facing a tough left-hander. Might Pagan and Span flip-flop? He said, well, that could be. Maybe Pagan would go to the leadoff spot against a tough lefty, and Span might hit 9th in that scenario. So he said he's not locked into anything with anybody in the lineup right now. That's a base hit to left field, and Duffy had a great jump. Canna up and throwing. Into second goes Blanco as the cutoff was dropped by Coughlin. 3-0 Giants.
And the point you make about the jump Duffy got, I mean, that's what made the play. I mean, there's 2 outs, you're going to get a good jump anyway. But it always seems like his is just an instant quicker than everybody else's. Great instincts on the bags.
I mean, and look at that long secondary lead he got.
He's just doing little things right that will create an opportunity and an edge for you in a play that could, with other guys, be a close play at the plate. For him, it was not.
Coughlin wanted to cut it off and see if he could make a play on Blanco, or at least keep him from trying to go to second. And he couldn't handle it. Blanco went on in. So now he's in scoring position for Pagan.
Jumping on the first pitch fastball right at the belt. And right here is where he accelerates and sees an opportunity to go on the back end and maybe move himself up into score position. And that's good instincts.
So now base hit could knock him in. And Doolittle gets a called strike to Angel Pagan, now batting right-handed. Pagan has grounded out to third and been called out on strikes. 0 for 2. Giants ahead 3-0 now. We're in the last of the 7th. A run in against Doolittle. A 1-out single by Duffy. took second on an infield out, and then the single by Blanco to bring him home. Blocked by Fegley. 1-1 the count now. 2 down in the inning. Giants had not scored since the first inning. And Buster Posey hit the 2-run double down the left field line. Chased it.
I think base running does not get enough recognition. Strikeouts, home runs, I mean, those they get a lot of attention, but being a good base runner, I think that and the first step on defense really define a baseball player, a true baseball player.
Out of play off the right field line.
I mean, if you learn to have anticipation on the base pass and your reactions are quicker because of that anticipation, it creates such an opportunity. And I mean, 90-foot increments are big advantages in games, and it really figures to be important this year in the National League West, where it's a dogfight. You see a lot of one-run ball games this year in the National League West. And Matt Duffy, when he first got to the big leagues, I mean, that was something that it jumped right off the page. And as you've watched him mature and play every day, I mean, you really appreciate what he could do on the base pass and with the first step on defense.
In time, Barreto, the young shortstop, throws out Pagan to end the inning. The Giants get a run and lead 3-0 as we move to the 8th inning.
Training Baseball is live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay connected all spring with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and much, much more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet. You will not be disappointed. It's that good.
3-0 Giants as we head to the 8th inning. Hunter Strickland in for the bullpen in relief of George Cantos, who had a perfect 7th inning with a couple of strikeouts.
12th appearance of the spring for Strickland. Is at a nice camp. 12 strikeouts against a walk in 11 innings. Really has been fighting a stomach virus here the last several days. The only Giant that was not able to go to the play ball luncheon on Thursday, but he's starting to feel a little bit better. But he was scuffling for a while.
95 miles an hour right past Fegley, who is 0 for 2 in the game. On deck for the Oakland Athletics is the second baseman, Chad Pinder. There he is. 2-1 the count to Fegley. Oakland has only 3 hits in this game. Beauty, hard slider. It's 2-2.
Really tightened up that slider since he's got to the big leagues. As big as a curveball now. Still a hard thrower, mid to high 90s. 2 types of movement and a split.
I asked him early in the spring if he was working on anything new, anything new to the repertoire, and he just kind of smiled. He smiled that sort of smile that guys that throw 97 miles an hour smile, and just said, well, I'm just trying to polish the stuff that I've already got.
Well, and that was a criticism when he first got to big leagues. As hard as he would throw, there's times he would throw right through the break on his slider. And he's learned to back off a little bit, and it has enhanced his break. Become a real strikeout pitch for him.
A lot of changes otherwise besides the pitcher. Mac Williamson now in left field. Ere Adrianza at third base. Kelby Tomlinson has moved from second base to shortstop. Ramiro Pena now at second, and Grant Green at first. So a reworking of the infield. So Green at first, Pena at second, Tomlinson at short, Adrianza at third. In the outfield now, Williamson at left, Blanco in center, Parker in right. Blanco and Parker come in a little bit earlier. Brown also came in a little bit earlier, still behind the plate. You see how they're set up. Back of Hunter Strickland as he's got a 3-2 count to Josh Fegley. 3-0, the Giants ahead, 8th inning. 3 runs, 6 hits for the Giants, no runs, 3 hits for Oakland. That one just kind of sat there and waited for Fegley, but an easy play for Parker, 1 away.
But I mean, I like to get it in slider there in a 3-2 count. I mean, he doesn't want to walk him to start an inning out. Still, I mean, it's a pitch that he would not have thrown a year ago. Now a 3-2 slider to get it in count, it's a weapon. He gets a lazy fly ball.
Well, and that's a good point, because you saw Fegley. That's the last thing in the world he thought he was going to throw.
Yeah, when a guy throws 97, you're geared up for 97.
So he had a real off-balance swing at it, and an easy out. Here is Pinder, strike 1.
You're sitting on a 3-2 count to start an inning. You're down 3-0. You're not thinking the guy's going to throw 3-2 hook at you or a slider. Not a guy that can throw high velocity fastballs.
Strike 2 to Pinder. Giants bullpen gets busy once again. That's Broadway, Michael Broadway, the right-hander, and Stephen Okert, the left-hander. Right past the first base bag on an 0-2 count. Parker hustles over, and he's going to hold Pinder to a single.
Nice 0-2 at bat right there.
Only the 4th hit for the Athletics. And now Coco Crisp, the leadoff man, will come up.
The Pacific Hornblower.
This comes sailing into the cove. A regular stop on the dinner cruises. Chad Pinder at first. Here's the veteran Crisp. Pinder, by the way, he was a competitive balance round B draft choice in 2013. And has hit 289 in the minor leagues, hit 317 at Midland Odessa last year with 15 home runs. No, does everybody hit 317 at Midland Odessa?
I played Midland in 1975, and left field was live. They had wind blowing out there that I'd never seen before. But if it blew out hard out to left field, right field was tough to hit it out of. So it's fair.
That's a foul ball.
Guys who have good seasons with high home run totals, if they're right-handed hitters especially, yeah. Now I'm assuming they're, you know, I'm sure that the ballpark's changed since 1975, but I don't know if they've changed the configuration. The Permian Basin, however, they got some big winds blowing across that neck of the woods.
So you gave up on occasion a big fly down there that wouldn't have been a home run in most parks?
Yes, I did.
1-2 the count.
But you know what it taught you? I mean, it taught you how to use the dead field. And as I got to the big leagues, especially when I got to Candlestick, I realized that, you know, if you read Candlestick right, you watched the papers that were stuck up against the chain link fence to left field, that meant that right field was sewed up and you could pitch to that side of the field. Pitch right-handed guys away, pitch left-handed hitters in.
There's one, and not in time at first. Coco Crisp is still a very fast runner, as Tomlinson got the in-between hop and sort of it was like a soccer game broke out. He made a chest trap and a quick feed off his chest to Pena for the force out.
Ball comes up on him. I don't think he ever touched glove on it. Nice play by Pena as that ball hit the bag and came up. And had it been anybody but Coco Crisp on that club, and maybe Billy Burns, they may have had a double play.
So I guess that'll be scored as the shortstop to the second baseman, just as if Tomlinson had fielded it cleanly.
6-4, get an assist. The thing about Candlestick, though, is that the winds would change every inning. If it was blowing out left field one inning, next inning it could be out to right. You had to learn how to read it. When they took the chain link fence out in 1993 and they made it a solid fence, it made it tough to read. As ugly as the chain link fence was, it served a purpose in reading that ballpark.
Well, plus all the hot dog wrappers.
Yeah, they were your friend.
0-2 the count to the former Cal star, Mark Canha, who is 1 for 3 in the game.
Kipe always made me laugh, and he'd say it once or twice every year. He'd say, yeah, you know, you'd see the plastic shopping bags blown across the infield, but at Candlestick they were different because they had a 9-pound turkey in it. You know, but it did blow hard there. Oh my.
Well, a cool night here. Candlestick used to be 6.2 miles that way from here. Windy night. Temperature is 57 degrees at game time, and that is strike 3. 95-mile-an-hour fastball to end the inning. We go to the last of the 8th, 3-0 Giants.
Central every night at 10:30 p.m. CSN, authentic Bay Area sports.
42,000 plus the official crowd tonight. Another sellout in exhibition baseball here. 2 in a row. 41,000 plus last night. 42,563 tonight. I can't keep calm. It's my first Giants game. Well, congratulations. Hope you're having a good time. Giants out in front 3-0. And Ryan Madsen comes in to pitch for the Athletics. Madsen, who was with the Kansas City Royals last year. So he's got a Royals World Series ring coming to him.
Yeah, he's had a nice spring. He's not giving up a run. 8 hits, 9 base runners in 7 innings with 5 strikeouts.
Right over the bag, a base hit for Kelby Tomlinson. Tomlinson's first plate appearance of the night. Oh, that almost looked like he was back in spring training in the Cactus League.
That's a Kelby Tomlinson special. I mean, he has as compact a route to the ball as anybody in that Giants club. I mean, it is just a direct line. Very little hand load. And he likes that middle of the field. Watch the hands. I mean, that's just compact. Bang. Just play pepper with that pitcher.
Jared Parker up for the first time now. Back out of play facing Ryan Madsen. Madsen signed a 3-year contract as a free agent to come to Oakland after helping the Royals win the World Series last year. He got into 3 World Series games and had a win in the World Series. Pitched 68 regular season games. As good as their bullpen was, remember they had the big 3 when the Giants faced them in the World Series 2014. Their bullpen was better last year.
Yeah, that's hard to believe.
Madsen, Luke Hochevar were at it. That's a foul ball. 0-2.
Yeah, they were not just the big 3, they were the great big 3 in 2014.
So Madsen to add a little depth to the Oakland bullpen. He had a 2.13 earned run average with Kansas City last year in 68 games, 63 in the 3rd innings, only 47 hits allowed. Madsen was a former closer, used to be with the Phillies. In fact, he was with the Phillies when the Phillies were still one of the top teams in the league. And 32 saves in 2011 with the Phillies. He had the Tommy John surgery the next year. That one gets by Fegley, and Tomlinson over to second. 2-2 the count to Jared Parker. Trevor Brown on deck. The Giants closer Santiago Casilla is up in the bullpen. Oakland's made some other changes in this inning, by the way, that we'll pass along to you. And that is all for Jared Parker. And that was not Fegley, by the way, any longer, who had the ball get past him. It was scored as a wild pitch, but it was Bruce Maxwell who's now catching. Chris Coughlin has moved from 3rd base to left field. And Chapman, the young 3rd baseman, has taken over there at 3rd, of course. So here's Trevor Brown, and that is in for a called strike. Also, Billy Burns is in center field replacing Coco Crisp, and Sportman is in right field. J.P. Sportman. Strike 2 to Trevor Brown.
You're not going to miss this, are you? The 7th inning shuffle. When a whole new defensive team comes in.
There's a certain point of these games where that's all you do. By the way, Mark Canha, we mentioned that Coghlan went from third to left field. Canha went from left field to first base. I guess with Canha and Coghlan, you could just let them decide in an exhibition game. Well, where would you rather go? Would you like to stay at left field, or would you like to move to first base now? You've been out there the whole game.
Moving parts. Baseball in the 21st century. As bullpens have become bigger by necessity, the bench players have had to assume more roles, more responsibilities with the glove.
Versatility is king for players on that bench. Here's Billy Burns in fairly shallow center. And that is the second out. Brown is 0 for 2 since he came in. And here comes Ere Adrianza. And Adrianza trying to show the Giants that he could do that job too. He was a shortstop. He'd been a shortstop in the minor leagues. But we saw him play first base. Tonight he's at third base. We've seen him play second base. And the Giants think he could play left field if they needed him to. And he's a guy who can steal a base, which is handy to have a guy on your bench who can do that.
Well, he's had a great spring. I mean, this is his 60th at bat. I mean, they've really given him an opportunity, and he's really taken advantage of it. I mean, he's a completely different player now, just simply because he's finally got his strength level up to the major league level. For the longest time, I mean, he was a real thin-chested player, just, you know, like a young man. Now he looks like a man. I mean, he's filled out.
Into center, Billy Burns there, and the Giants go down. Adrianza 0 for 1. Now we go to the ninth inning. Santiago Casilla will try and come in and wrap it up for the Giants. And here we go to the ninth inning, and Santiago Casilla in from the Giants bullpen in the same kind of a spot that we would likely see him in the regular season. He's the Giants closer.
Well, the ninth inning is his responsibility. Take a look at what he has done in 7 games. He had the slow play. He started a little bit later than other guys in the Giants staff. but he's throwing the ball well. And when he throws the ball well, you'll see low to mid 90s with velocity, 2 types of fastball, a curveball, slider, and a changeup, and he'll throw all of them, which is what really makes him unique.
One ball, one strike to Billy Burns. Barreto is on deck. That didn't miss by much.
Waited since January to celebrate my 30th with the Giants. Well, happy birthday. She's not leaving early.
Well played by Ramiro Pena. Beauty. That's one of the fastest runners in the game.
That was a play, and he knew. I mean, everybody knows Billy Burns' speed. His reputation is everywhere. And Pena had to come in here and be aggressive. And when he made the move to be aggressive, he was going to get a high hop to the backhand. Fields it nicely, good exchange, and it's not even close. That's big league play. But watch Burns get down the line. Not a lot of backswing, and it's just jet fuel going down the first base line.
This is Barreto, and that is strike one called. Barreto is another one of the guys they acquired from Toronto in the Josh Donaldson trade, and he might have been the key to the deal. Some people think so. A really outstanding prospect as a shortstop. Only 3 years in the minor leagues. .298 batting average. .354 on base percentage as a minor leaguer. Hit .302 for Stockton in the California League last year with 13 home runs in 90 games. Stockton, there were places in the California League that favor the hitters. I don't know that Stockton is one of them.
I haven't been to that ballpark.
Barreto's from Caracas, Venezuela, and he's only 20 years old. Two and two the count. Of course, they have high hopes for him, and he did nothing to dash those hopes last year. He still looks like he's going to be an outstanding player. But of course, Josh Donaldson went to Toronto and he won the MVP award in the American League last year. Soaring pop-up. Foul. And well back out of play.
Heads up. That was up there. Yeah, whoever got that deserved a pat in the back, couple of high fives, and Napois, which is an athletic pat with a squeeze. Well deserving.
Two and two the count. One out, nobody on. Chris Coughlin is on deck. Ramiro Pena gets another one. Two down. This one a lot easier than the first one.
It was pretty fun to listen to the infielders talk about taking ground balls here at AT&T as opposed to taking them at Scottsdale Stadium. Scottsdale Stadium a little hard, as are most infields in the Cactus League, but not here. And this is, well, this can be a hard infield when the wind hits it, but they were definitely happy to be home.
Chris Coughlin 0 for 3 in the game. Two down, nobody on. And that curve is a little bit off the outside. One ball and no strikes as Casilla tries to wrap this up. And Casilla himself used to be with the Oakland Athletics. He was a flamethrower, but really the whole thing never fully came together for him until he came to the Giants. And what a great addition he has been. And he is one of the core guys out of that bullpen in all three of the Giants' trip to World Series championships, including as the closer when they won it all in 2014. He Javier Lopez, Jeremy Affeldt, Sergio Romo, all four of them have been lights out in the postseason. Two and two.
Good changeup. This is an example. I mean, he's got weapons. He's got 5 types of movement that he is fearless in throwing. He'll throw him 3-2, bases loaded, tie scored in the 9th. He didn't care. He's got that type of belief in his command of his pitches.
Two down, nobody on. Giants leading 3-0, 9th inning. And the ball game is over. And he put him away with a nasty breaking ball. It looks to me like Casilla is ready to play for real.
I think they look like they're all ready to play for real. This is another outstanding ball game. Great pitching. And Jake Peavy, I mean, he's got to feel pretty pumped up and confident going into his first start, which will be the home opener here Thursday when the Giants come back from Milwaukee. Good night for the Arms.
5 shutout innings for Jake Peavy, 2 hits allowed, and then Heston, Contos, Strickland, and Casilla 4 shutout innings out of the bullpen. And the Giants in these 2 games here in the Bay Bridge exhibition series against the Athletics allowed just 1 run in the 2 nights combined. Giants 3, Oakland 0. 1 exhibition left. That'll be tomorrow in Oakland. Stay with us. We're going to have more from AT&T Park. We'll be right back.